Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening and Happy New Year, everybody. It's your girl, Jawani Vet, and welcome to the newest edition of Justified Madness on Blog Talk Radio. I wanted to start out talking about something that's not quite at the head of the news stories anymore, but there's a reason why I waited this out. And the title of the show is Beyond the Hashtags, I should say. And the reason why I chose that title is because I was tuned into CNN on the night that the Ferguson, Missouri police officer who was responsible for the death of Mike Brown, we found out that he would not face charges for that crime. And this is why I said beyond the hashtags, because all night I watched my Twitter timeline, I watched my Facebook timeline, and I'm seeing hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag Justice for Mike Brown. But from the beginning, my main concern has been, what are we as a society, what can we do, what should we do now beyond social media, beyond just talking about it? Because at some point the words have to turn into action. I was really disheartened to hear that so many police officers in New York, following the death of Eric Garner, felt that the protests were anti-police. And in no way, shape, or form do I condone violence against police officers, because the majority of police officers do serve and protect. Let's not take a handful of officers who become power mad, whether it's whether the situation is driven by race or by neighborhood or whatever the case may be, and paint the entire blue line with that same brush, because it serves us no purpose to fight fire with fire. Now, that being said, before we go further into the conversation, I want to get into this musical piece. I heard it on the radio for the first time last week, and I definitely wanted to start today's show or tonight's show with this song. It's called Black Lives Matter. It's by Pastor Chris Harris, and if you would like to weigh in, give me a call. 619-638-8436 is the number. Talk about it. What can we do beyond the hashtags, beyond social media, beyond just talking about it? What can we as a society do to start to change the climate? This is Justified Madness on Blog Talk Radio with your girl, Jawani Vet.
What's the world coming to? We're losing hope, but I got good news. The world is marching with a brand new sound. If you can't hear it, I'll count it down. We're shouting 1, 2, 3, 4.
We don't want black dying no more.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Black people always have been great.
9, 10, 11, 12.
We have too many blacks in jail.
What's the cry? What's the chatter? Pump your fist, everybody say
Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
Everybody say
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
some say black, some say colored. African Americans, stop killing each other. Under pressure, all together, we'll always try. You ought to help us to keep all blacks alive, so we can shout 1, 2, 3, 4.
breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Check the history of the human race. Behind great things is another dark face. We built this country while under attack. Knock us down, we'll bounce right back. It might seem hard, but it's not too late. Tell a brother, tell a sister that they're great. You work too much to be torn down. If you got power, please make a sound. Help me shout 1, 2, 3, 4.
We don't want black society no more.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Black people always have been great.
9, 10, 11, 12.
We have too many blacks in jail.
What's the cry? What's the chatter? Pump your fist, everybody say.
Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter. Black lives matter.
Everybody say.
I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
That's Pastor Chris Harris with Black Lives Matter. It's Justified Madness on Blog Talk Radio with your girl, Jawani Bett, and opening the year with a serious subject that really affects us all. I want to go beyond the hashtags. We've seen the hashtags, Black Lives Matter, Justice for Mike Brown, Justice for Eric Garner, Ferguson, police brutality. And as much as we want to say that race isn't at the heart of the discussion, we definitely have to take a look at what's going on and how situations are handled differently. Now, there was some debate going on about the hashtag Black Lives Matter, and there were people of other races saying, well, why just say Black Lives Matter? Why not all lives matter? And, of course, all lives do matter. But I think what we're taking, or what some may take out of context, is the fact that when we say Black Lives Matter, this is not in any way saying that we are above or are looking for any special treatment. We are in a society where we are not seen as equal, and this is something that's played out every day. And if you haven't had that experience, then it would be extremely difficult for you to understand. I have been in situations where, for instance, when I was playing with a band a few years ago, we were playing at a club that was in a majority white area. We were, as we walked up and down the street, we decided to go get something to eat in between sets. We are some of very few people of color walking along the street. And we noticed that there was a group of officers that everywhere we went, they followed us. They kept their eyes on us. And it's just that feeling of knowing we're not doing anything any different from anyone else on the street. We're walking up and down the street looking for some place to get a hamburger, but we're automatically singled out as suspect because our skin color is different from most of those on the street. So if you've never had that type of experience, it would be difficult to understand. And I just wanted to get some opinions. If you've had experiences such as these, definitely I'd like to hear from you. 619-638-8436 is the number. Shout out to Alex, I see you, and also Latrice. Thank you for joining me. And most definitely, if you've got something to say, feel free to press 1 if you call in. Press 1 at any time. I'll see you raise your hand, and I'll bring you live on the air, or you can just call in and listen. It is all good. Now, before I get into the next musical piece, I want to read an excerpt from an article that I came across a couple of days ago, just to amplify what I've been saying here. And this is from dailycost.com, and it was actually published on December 30th. And the article begins, "We've been told repeatedly that if Eric Garner hadn't resisted, the medical examiner wouldn't have found his death was a homicide due to asphyxiation. We've been told that if only Michael Brown hadn't been a vicious cigarillo thug, he wouldn't have received a bullet wound in his arm that either came from the back while he was running away or from the front while his hands were up as he traveled forward at a stunningly rapid speed of 2.59 miles per hour. We've been told that if only Jonathan Crawford had dropped the toy air rifle he picked up from the shelves of Walmart within 2 seconds, that if only Tamir Rice had dropped his BB gun within 1 second, and if Darian Hunt hadn't been running away as police shot him in the back for, quote-unquote, brandishing an unsharpened katana sword, all three of these people would still be alive today. So why exactly is this person alive after going on a violent shooting spree, including pointing her gun at officers while wearing body armor? A Tennessee woman is facing multiple charges, including attempted first-degree murder for driving around, shooting at people, leading a police chase, and pointing her gun at an officer. Julia Shields, 45, drove around a Chattanooga neighborhood Friday just before 4 p.m., dressed in body armor, randomly shooting into vehicles, WRCB reports. Officers responded to a call from 2 victims who said Shields pulled up to their vehicle at a stop sign in a dark-colored sedan and began firing into the car. No one was reportedly hurt. Now, the first thing that comes to mind when I read this article, and of course the first thing you see is her picture. She is a Caucasian female. So she has, and in case we missed anything, she has a loaded weapon. She is firing said weapon at innocent people randomly. She's wearing body armor, points her gun at officers, but she's arrested without injury or incident. 12-year-old Tamir Rice is playing with a BB gun. Within literally, and I have watched the video, so I could say literally within a second of arriving, police shoot this child dead. Something is really wrong with this society and the way particularly our black males are viewed, not only by police officers, but as a society in general. And I'll leave it there. 619-638-8436 is the number. And I'd like to get into this next song. This is Common featuring Vince Staples, Kingdom. Justified Madness on Blog Talk Radio.
Get the keys to the kingdom.
With my hood on, my homie used to rap, he was about to get put on. At his funeral, listening to this church song, his family yelling and screaming, I heard for him. A cold world, that's why we pack heaters. Listening to this preacher, as he trying to reach us, I'ma need to go back, I got to get him. Back and forth in these streets, that's the rhythm. Revenge is supposed to be the Lord, but I use my own accord. When I seen him on the porch, cost my man his life, I can't afford not to hear